Hello, it's Brett. Now, I'm going to apologize in advance. This is a pretty heavy video. There's a whole bunch of concepts that are going to be dumped on you, and I expect you're going to have to replay this one or two times and also pause it on particular screens. But here we go. What I want to do is give you a heads up on how we go about setting OKRs. So we've seen this chart before. Q1, it could be Q2, could be the middle of Q3. But we're going to, at some point in time, have to begin to think about what is our performance expected to be. And typically when we set budgets and targets around the most probable. Especially if this is linked to compensation with my SMART measures, where obviously I don't want to really stretch myself, because if I do and I don't achieve that goal, I'm not going to make my pay and my bonus. So typically we tend to plan our businesses around most probable. But there's another performance level slightly above that, which I'm going to call victory. Victory is, what would happen that would tell us that we're going to own the marketplace, that we're going to dominate what's going on, that we're going to succeed beyond what everyone else in the marketplace does. That's victory. Think of that in a game. And then finally, there's a third level that I'm going to call best possible. Best possible is way beyond victory. What that looks like is, what could we do if everything went right? Like Murphy's Law, we know everything goes wrong. But what if everything went right? What if no one called in sick? What if we didn't have any bugs? What if we didn't lose any time because subcontractors disappeared? What if we didn't have to fix bug fixes from last week or some legacy system? Best possible. And those 3 points, if we extrapolate those across time, are quite interesting, because basically for most organizations, this most probable is just a straight line. That's how we've been setting budgets forever. Victory is also a straight line, but again, considerably above most probable. Best possible is even above that. But what's interesting is, as we get better and better at predicting best possible, we find the gap between best possible and victory decreases, because we begin to be more realistic on what we lay down as our objective around best possible. So for our OKRs, we're not looking for most probable. Go to your budgets if you want to see that. We're not interested in just victory. We're interested in best possible. What can we do when everything's working in our favor? That's what we want to aim towards. Call it a stretch goal. What we do know is if you target yourself towards best possible, you achieve way closer to that than you do if you target yourself towards most probable. So this white line is what we're heading for, team. Now, it's super important to understand that we're now going to begin focusing on outcomes. So outputs, that's the tasks that we do, but you can do a whole bunch of stuff and not get victory or best possible. We're worried about the value we create. On our OKRs, we're describing objectives, which are the outcome. We're objectives about the value that we want to create for the organization. So objectives are, getting clarity around what our intention is. They communicate the 3 to 5 things that your team or your department need to do this year and this quarter. They answer the questions of what and why. Why is it we need to get a 3-minute response time on our helpline calls? We need to get people inspired with a sense of purpose so that they want to get on board with this goal. We need to understand how this cascades up and down and coalesces across the organization so that we get everyone aligned and working in the same direction. As we go forward, we're going to be what we call localizing the nouns and verbs. So the same objective might be phrased differently in Dublin than it is in Vancouver, than it is in Shanghai. That's fine. We need to give each team the relevance that they need. It's not a number. It's more about that view across the long and short term. So overall, what do you want to accomplish and why is it important? And if others were to read your objective, does it help them understand what the heck you're doing? Then we come up with the key results. The key results are, the things that talk about how we're driving the velocity by being clear about what that target looks like. So they're quantified success measures around each objective for each quarter, each time period. And they talk about the best possible results, not the most probable outcome. And we're trying to balance the key results back to exactly what those right outcomes are. And in some cases, they're the sum of what happens downstream from you, sometimes not. And they let the organization know where they should be focusing their efforts. These are outcomes and not an action item. So they tell us what would be great. What would you have more of or less of if you accomplish this objective? So that's the O and the KR. So these are examples. You can pause, take a look at these later. The idea is these are inspirational and in your language. Make it dirt simple and totally enjoyable to buy our products and services online. And then why? To retain current and attract new customers. And then these are specific things that we can measure, the key results. So those are OKRs, and that's what we're going to get for you. So the design principles, there are 4 things we need to focus on. One is we believe in incredible clarity. We need to be very clear about how we're going to define success for your team. Because the fact of the matter is, any minute that you lose, you can never get back. So we need you to be crisp and clear in what you need to do to make sure we get great value for your time. We're going to move at a fast pace. Like, OKRs, quarterly, weekly, daily. And they're driving sharp focus on the best results. We need to make sure that they're localized and transparent. And I touched on this before, right? What are the words that you would use? Think of this as your elevator pitch for great performance. And then finally iterate. We're not going to get this right the first time. You might not get it right the second time. It's a journey. You're going to get it more and more right over time. So these are the 4 design principles we're going to use. And it's not as easy as you think. And it's not as easy because, and this is based on a lot of client work, thing 1, that we're used to talking about action but not results, right? We don't have to practice in talking about results. And so we need to take that step back. Secondly, alignment. We're not nearly as aligned as you might think. And that's the problem between departments. And it's awkward to deal with. It's disappointing it exists. But, suck it up, buttercup. It is what it is. Thing 3, it's a journey. It's going to take some experience. It's going to take some time to get it right. Trust the journey. And then finally, the choices are tough. The strategy is about prioritization, right? Do I do this or do that? And prioritization, therefore, triggers choices. We need to make explicit choices now as we develop these OKRs rather than accidental ones later. So let's talk about the benefits, right? So fast, great decisions are a requisite for fast, great results. Right? So every team needs a bunch of things. You need clarity on the results that you're trying to achieve. You need contextual data to make sure that you're up to date on the results and you know what the risks are. You need to have fast follow through. You can't wait a month or a quarter. And you need to have those activities focused on results. And here's what we know. We know from our clients, if you do that, you're going to knock about a 20% improvement in your performance just by getting that clarity. So that's the golden brass tap or brass ring we're trying to grab. So, and it takes less time to get aligned than the activity that you lose if you're not aligned. So here's the issue. You got about 530 hours in this coming quarter to work on. 530 hours to contribute to victory for Damon Ware. It's going to take about 5 hours for us to set the right OKRs. So that's not a bad deal. 10% of your time to make sure the other 90% is on strategy. 10%? Heck, 1%. Okay, I told you it's pretty heavy. There's just one more thing I want to share with you. And that's about why we're doing this and what results it's going to give the business. So here's what we see. We see that if you do business as usual for many organizations we work with, right? What we call fire and forget or set and forget, right? We set the target and we don't worry about it until the next year. So there's no focus once the objectives are set. And so we're just not focused. And what we see is this mediocre performance. There's another group of clients that I'm going to call haphazard, as like the next shiny thing, right? So we work on it, but we get distracted over a short chunk of time. We suddenly realize we're off course. We don't have enough time to correct it. And there's just no ongoing discipline. So we get better results, but you know what? Still not awesome. What we're looking for, of course, is changing how we manage. We're trying to get a sustained weekly focus on performance. We need to make sure that it becomes every manager's leadership habit so that we got these weekly updates, we've got high transparency, we've got early detection of problems, and we see, obviously, a significantly better performance. That's why we're doing this. And we can't do this without this platform of more detailed information. So there you go, the Holy Grail, what we're after.